你不是同性恋，你就不会这样子。你就跟我的正常人讲，我是同性恋 ，OK， 这是我的正常。衣柜不算太宽，着你的吉他。分享我们的爱很像有一男人的受伤，继续伪装，在天空的期望是长，你有巨大的坚强，走的地方，把天的眼光。把天儿闪下，你有彩虹的光芒，满人当中。他的西装比我适合
Okay, I think it's about time for us to get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us for Baby Steps post-filming panel discussion with Director Barney Cheng. My name is Fan Yunlan. I'm the current president of Taiwan Film Festival of Boston, which is also known as TFFB. So let me briefly introduce the history of TFFB. It is founded in 2019 by a group of Taiwanese and Taiwanese American volunteers. TFFB is registered as a nonprofit organization in Massachusetts, striving to bring Taiwanese stories and films to the United States and the whole world. The photo you are watching actually shows our first film festival last year. It was held in MIT with 6 films, actually 6 documentaries screened, and we accommodated more than 1,000 audience last time. And as you all know, this year, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we've changed the form of screening to virtual platform, which are our monthly screen series. Getting started from August, and this month, which is November, we are proud to present Director Barney Cheng's film, Baby Steps. In light of LGBTQ History Month and the Taiwan Pride Parade, which just held yesterday and was probably the only one Pride Parade on Earth that took place after the pandemic outbreak. The second Taiwan Film Festival of Boston is supported by Taiwan Film and Audiovisual Institute, 国家电影视听文化中心, and Harvard Taiwan Student Association. And we'd love to express our greatest appreciation to our sponsors. 驻波士顿台北经济文化办事处 Taipei Economic and Culture Office in Boston. 中华民国侨务委员会 Overseas Community Affairs Council. 驻纽约台北文化中心 Taipei Culture Center in New York. 驻波士顿台北经济文化办事处科技组 The Science and Technology Division TECO in Boston. 驻波士顿台北经济文化办事处教育组 The Education Division TECO in Boston. 美国达理律师事务所 TLA Law, 还有 Hu Law Office PC Attorney 美惠胡. Thank you all for making this happen. So, it's about time to get the panel started. It's my honor to introduce our moderator, Jannis Chen. Jannis Chen is a scholar and writer who studies East Asia language and civilization at Harvard University. In addition to Jannis himself, I also want to introduce his fantastic book publication, 永发街市. Because of the time limit, please scan the QR code for more information if you are interested. So now I'm giving the microphone to Jannis, and let's start the discussion with Director Barney Cheng.
Thank you, Fahing. Thanks a lot. I hope my audio is all right. Everybody can hear me, right? Okay, let me do the introduction of the film, and which everybody has watched, and I'm sure you have enjoyed it tremendously. Just to recap, in case for the attendees right over here, I see already we've got quite a few online to summarize this plot. Baby Steps was produced in 2015 and directed by Barney Cheng, which it's an honor for us to have him today with us. So in the film, Danny, a Taiwanese-American man, longs to have a baby with his boyfriend Tate, but their attempts at international surrogacy are complicated by Danny's meddling mom, who wants to control every aspect of the process all the way from Taipei. Baby Steps, a dramatic comedy about Gay Sung and his mother, both lost in their own worlds, traveling around the globe to find what's missing in their lives. After the journey, what they found is a new family and a new beginning. So I have a very condensed CV of Barney right here. I think this one is too short. It doesn't do you justice, but I will be quick and just read it out. So Barney Cheng landed on the Hollywood map as an actor in 2002 with his acclaimed performance in Woody Allen's Hollywood Ending. The New York Times described Barney's comedic timing as surgically precise. The Orange County Register raved that Cheng deals every scene he's in. In addition to acting, Barney works as a writer, director, and producer. His award-winning films have collectively screened in over 100 film festivals worldwide. Barney was a Tribeca Film Institute's All-Access Fellow for his feature film, Baby Steps. He has participated in Ryan Murphy's Half Initiative, NBC Universal's Directors Program, and is actively working in Hollywood, directing and developing episodic television and film projects. A Stanford graduate, and Barney resides in Los Angeles. So Barney, welcome. Let's do the Zoom clap. Yeah. I don't hear the sound, but yeah. Okay.
We're happy to be here.
Okay, great.
Can you hear me okay? Okay, cool.
Yeah, so glad to have you. We've only met briefly about 2 weeks ago and talked about, I was so nervous meeting you, but I think for the second time, I'm less nervous now. So, Barney, I will start with we'll keep it very casual and very real, right? So, um, first of all, Halloween. How did you celebrate your Halloween?
Yeah, like every Halloween here in West Hollywood, we have this big party, right? Like God, last year it was like almost 500,000 people came here for the big party. But obviously, this year is canceled. It's just a very strange year. What did I do yesterday? I went to my community garden. I basically spent my day alone, like most of the time, right? I'm pretty much alone by myself. I go to my community garden. I do a lot of gardening, and I spend my time with my 200 passion fruits. They're my
fruit.
friends. Yeah, I grow passion fruit. So I have like 200 of them. Like amazing. So I spent my day alone yesterday, basically, and it was that's just the way it is. My goal right now is just like to be healthy and be safe until the vaccine. But yeah.
Yes. How is the weather? Because yesterday, in Boston, we had the very early snow of this year already. It was really, heavy snow, and I had a tiny porch of garden outside, and all my marigolds are dead. I did not know that once you snow, the flowers are all gone. So how do you take care of your passion fruits? What's the temperature like now?
Well, temperature is in the 60s and 70s, and it's going to be in the 80s this week. Yeah, my passion fruit is like they're. I have so many of them, and they're like passion fruit, they turn purple, right? So mine are still green. So it'll take maybe another month for them to turn purple. I mean, here in California, we don't get snow. I mean, the lowest we'll get probably is in the 50s, and then 70s and 80s, and most of the time. So we can literally grow, all year round.
Wow.
Yeah.
Passion fruits also come with many seeds, right? The inside.
Well, you eat the seeds, yeah.
You eat the seeds. Okay, so let's have this as an overture into the film, because as I was rewatching that film, at the first scene that you shot, if you still remember, and let me, put this test to you. What is the first scene, the shot that you had?
Wasn't the first scene the mother's like praying and asking for us? I just don't remember. Well, she's asking for some kind of. She's wishing for something, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The first, I think, after you cut it, did you do the cutting everything yourself?
I mean, we had an editor.
Okay.
So the editor did the first cut, and then after she finished the first cut, which is 3 hours, by the way.
Wow.
And then I would go and work with her for another month to slowly cut it into like 90 minutes. So yeah,
Wow.
so I have an editor that does the first cut.
Okay, but one of the final version is the pomegranate. When I saw it, I was
right.
like, yes, many sons and daughters. Like, yes,
yeah.
So tell us about the reduction. I didn't know that 3 hours you have to reduce it to, like, now it's about 1 hour and a half, right?
Yeah, 90 minutes to 100 minutes. Yeah.
So feed us with those secret plots that has been cut away.
Oh my God, there's a huge plot of the boyfriend character, Tate. He goes to Taipei, and there's a lot of stuff happening in Taipei, and then there's a lot of stuff happening in the U.S. And he was like very traumatized by Ma, the mother character. So he was like he was all alone. And so basically, he goes to Taipei, and he was my partner kind of. And then by the end of like the stay, he was the type of he was isolated the whole time. The mother kept isolating him, and so there's a subplot of him, all these things happening, and he felt so alone. And then he called, the like his friend in the U.S. It was just so there's just a lot of we cut all that. We cut all that because we just literally didn't have time. And then it was pretty established that the mother character was pretty against Tate, right? So that subplot, while it was compelling and interesting, it was more than what we really needed. So we had to cut that. There's a subplot with Mickey as well. It's about her choice. Like we wanted to make sure she ultimately makes her own choice because it's very important. I think you wrote to me that you're more and more increasingly worried that she will be forced to make a choice. But so as a writer, I wanted to make sure that she ultimately makes that first choice by herself. So there's a subplot of that too, but we felt like, oh, maybe we didn't need that because she did ultimately make the choice herself to help the family. So this is a lot of things that we just ended up cutting. This is a movie. 90 minutes is really the max. 100 minutes is really a max. That's why, that's why I really want to do more episodic television. Like you can really do like 9 episodes, 10 episodes, 20 episodes, first season, second season, third season. Like you can really tell stories and go with the subplots, and all the supporting characters can have their own individual arc too. So yeah. So yeah, the first cut was really long. I was like, man, there's no way we can cut this into 90 minutes. But we just kept doing it, and eventually.
But how do you negotiate with, who decides that you only have 90 minutes for this film?
Well,
How do you bargain for more?
You kind of know as a filmmaker, you watch a movie like 90 minutes to an hour, 2 hours is kind of like the max, right? You know that as a writer. So the script that I wrote, so as a screenwriter, the software that we use is called Final Draft, and each page is 1 minute screen time. So my script was about like 100 pages. So it's literally 100 minutes, right? So, but the way we shot it, the first cut ended up to be so long. So we just needed to go by page and just make sure that all the important arc is there. So as a writer, you kind of know already that you need to make it about 190 minutes. And of course, the producer wanted as short as possible. The producer always wants to be, like, oh my God, don't make it too long. Make sure there's a lot of nudity. Make sure there's a lot of sex. They all want that, right? So, yeah.
Wait, so on the producer, because I want to ask, I know that you take a screen because I watched all your interviews, right? So now I know you went to the screen, you took a screenwriting program and to learn about, how to do screenwriting and things like that. Tell us more about your whole creation process of this story. Who started this first, or why this idea came about? How did all these extra things start to coming in and everything? We want to know everything.
Yeah, so I moved to the LA after in 2002 after my movie with Woody Allen, and then when I moved to LA, I was acting. I was doing a lot of auditions and acting, but I always remember what Woody Allen told me, which was that you kind of have to be proactive. Like you kind of have to start writing your own project and create your own project. So in 2002, I started taking screenwriting classes at UCLA. And I started writing, and then I started directing short films. So 5 or 6 years later, after having produced and directed 6 or 7 short films, I knew I wanted to challenge myself and start doing feature films, right? I mean, writers, directors, that's their goal, right? To make features. And then I was searching for a topic, and feature film takes a really long time. It's kind of like dating. You want to be with that person. If you're spending so much time with that person, you want to make sure it's something you like, someone you like. So I was looking for a topic that I liked, that I felt was very important, that I knew about, because you want to write about what you know, right? And then I was driving one day in Los Angeles, and then I heard about this on the radio. There was a podcast, or I forgot what it was, but they're talking about this new documentary called Google Baby on HBO. It's a documentary on HBO, and he talked about how this gay couple from Israel, this Jewish gay couple, they wanted a baby. But surrogacy was not legal for gay couples, although it was legal for straight couples. So in order for gay couples to have their own baby, they needed to go through surrogacy elsewhere, not in Israel. So this gay man, this gay couple, they came to the U.S. and they worked with an egg donor in the U.S. and then they created an embryo, and then they went to India to transfer the embryo to an Indian surrogate. And then 9 months later, they flew from Israel back to India to pick up their baby to take back to Israel in order to have a child, to start a family. So when I heard about this story on the radio about this documentary, I was so intrigued. So I watched the documentary on HBO, and I thought, you know what? I can make this story into. I could see it as a movie. I could totally see it as a movie. It's very compelling, right? Traveling around the world to start a family, and I could see the leads as Asian, right? And I thought, what if I made the character Taiwanese American, right? So I thought, okay, so what I want to just make it like someone like me, right? Who's in the 30s, who lives in West Hollywood, wants to have a baby with his partner, and so I started writing. And then at one point, I needed to add more conflict, right? As you want more. The more conflict, the better. So I thought, oh man, what if he had like a crazy mother from Taiwan or something like that? So I added the mother character. So the story just grew from there. But the first draft, I remember it was very much focused on the gay couple's journey to have a baby. So and the mother's character was very like just marginal.
Side plot.
She was throughout, but not the main story, right? The main story was a gay character's journey. So that was that. And then so I remember, okay, so like how do we like who would be the good actress to play the mother character? And I remember Grace from The Wedding Banquet, and I thought, oh my gosh, she was probably already 60s, when she did the film, and that was 20 years ago, so she must be in the 80s now. So I thought, oh, she may be too old. So, but then I saw a movie then she did, and I realized, oh no, she's not that old. She was in the 60s. They made her look older for that movie, The Wedding Banquet. So she was actually perfect for the mother character. So I immediately had my agent contact her agent, and we met in Los Angeles. She actually lives in Los Angeles. So we met in Los Angeles, and so I gave her the script. She read it, and she was like, oh, I like the story, but why is the mother character so weak? Why so she gave me a lot of suggestions about the mother character, which I thought, oh my god, that's so right, that's so true. So second or third draft, I focused more on the mother character and her journey to basically it was her story. The product is her story. So I made the story like about her, and then but at that point we didn't have any money yet, right? But I had her on board. So I pitched the film, the project, as sort of like, The Wedding Banquet is 25 years old, a long time ago. It was about this Taiwanese American guy coming out to his family. And so years later, two decades later, he's out and proud. It's not about him coming out anymore. It's about the mother's character coming out, being comfortable with having a gay son and being able to tell her friends and family about having a gay son, right? So I pitched the story as sort of like unofficial continuation of this journey. And so I pitched to the producer of the Wedding Banquet. He liked the idea. He loves the idea of like the continuation, even though there's totally different stories.
The producer is the Hollywood side. You pitched them first, right? Or the Taiwanese side?
By then I already had American Hollywood producers interested in the story, but we only raised a little bit of money. We didn't have the full production budget. But I pitched it to the producer who did The Wedding Banquet, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, 徐立
Yeah.
功. Right. So
徐立功, yeah.
right. So I pitched it to him as, about like it's a continuation of the journey. So he loved it. But he loved it. Yeah. So that's how everything came together.
That's because I was so impressed that I was doing some research and find that producer Xu Ligong, I think his English is Stanley something, right?
No, Li Kongshu. I mean, it's a literal
Li
translation.
Kongshu.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was amazing because I feel like some movies are timeless, especially Unleashed the Wedding Banquet. It's like I don't think I'm that old, but but somehow it's definitely a classic, even for younger generations, Asian LGBT people coming into the scene. And then I saw your film. I was like, this is wonderful. It's like after yours is 2015 and the Wedding Banquet is in the 90s. So after 25 years or so, it's a continuation. That's wonderful.
She played the mother of two gay men,
yeah.
right? Isn't that incredible?
Yes.
Like the makeup made her look so old in that movie, and like she's actually, it's unbelievable. The man that played the gay guy in the Wedding Banquet is so much older now.
That's true, huh?
Right.
That couple.
But she was able to play the mother of two gay men. Isn't that amazing?
She's timeless. She's got to.
Yeah,
she's timeless.
Amazing.
Yes. And also, I realized. So, what do you feel about because the whole process becomes very participatory. As I feel, it's not only about you as a screenwriter, a director, but somehow you incorporated very organically the leading actress's perspective. How can you tell us more about working with this amazing woman, Grace? What's her? How do I translate this?
Grace, yeah. So I call her Grace.
Mm.
She's. I mean, I learned so much from her. She is such a hardworking actress. Like you see the movie, and everything seems so like effortless, right? But it's like a lot of hard work. She actually went to Taipei to meet with my mom, and actually try to interview her, try to understand where she was coming from as a mother. And this is I haven't told many people about this, but this is actually very touching to me. So when I came out to my mom, right, like I didn't really like pay too much attention to what happened to her, but so when Grace went to see my mom to do research for the character, I found out through Grace that after I came out to my mom, it was like the most difficult part of her life. Like she would often have like nightmares. She would have nightmares about like me, like dying of AIDS or something. It was during the 80s and 90s, right? Like AIDS was a huge problem. So through Grace research, I learned that it was such a hard, difficult part of my mom's life. So I didn't know that. So I don't know. I just felt like she was able to channel my mom's character, and through hard work, really, I'm so blessed to have her. Like, I didn't really do too much directing because she understood the character so well. I think one of the things that I learned from directing, from working with Woody Allen, was that when you're working with a good actress, a good actor, you don't need to direct them. You just let them work, because they'll bring all the complexities and depth to the characters. They understand the characters more than you do. There are only certain one or twice, I have to do some slight adjustments, but basically just let them do their work, leave them alone.
Were you ever nervous? Because you see, you were, I know you were a very competent actor, but Baby Steps was your first feature film, and you already banned. You got this amazing, Ying Ho already actress. You have to direct. So how does that, a young director and an experienced actress?
It was like really, really difficult. I mean, so this is the process. I'll share this with everybody. So the director, like, you have to explain, like, the scene to not only the actors, but you have to explain the scene to the crew, right? You have a lighting, you have your director of photography, DP, you have your costume people, you have so many people. Like there's like literally, gosh, 30, 40 people on set. You have to explain the scene to everybody. After you explain to them, and either to the actors, you have to sort of, as an actor, you have to sort of forget everything, right? And throw yourself into the scene and just forget being a director, which is full about control and try to control every aspect of it. And just forget about that and be an actor. And you have to be very fully present and just be in the moment in the scene. So I would explain everything to everybody, and then take off my director's hat, and be an actor, forget everything and to be an actor and be fully in the scene. And after we shoot the scene, we'll cut, and I will run to the monitor, right, to see what we shot. And then you have to like take on your director's hat again and just analyze every single aspect of the what we just filmed to make sure it's right. And one thing I learned very, very early on, in the beginning, when I went back to the monitor and tried to see the monitor, I would be like, try to look at myself only, right? I would like forget to look at other people. I was concerned about, do I look fat? Do I look ugly? Do I look, you know what I mean? Like, and it was sort of narcissistic. And immediately I realized, you need to stop that. You need to like see everything. You just need to like let go of the actor's hat and just be like focus on the director. So, and then after you see the scene, run back to the scene and do it again and back and forth like that. So you just have to be very specific. Okay, right now I'm a director. Right now I'm an actor. Right now I'm a director. So you just be very, very, you have to compartmentalize like every moment. It's very exhausting. It's crazy. And on top of all that, we're always running out of time. Like you never have enough time.
Gosh, I cannot even imagine, it must be that the role playing, the changing, code switching all the time. How long did it take for you to finish this whole filming part?
I think it was 19 days. 19 days.
19 days.
About 3 weeks, yeah.
You filmed everything in 3 weeks. And may I know how many hours did you sleep? I'm not going to ask you how many hours
we only have 12. We only work 12-hour days. We didn't we didn't have money to pay for one that. So every day was only 12 hours. So after 12 hours, I would go home and just go to sleep, and then wake up and do the same thing. So we didn't have a lot of money, so we only have 3 weeks. I mean, there's one pickup day at 19. Yeah, so 3 weeks.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. It's 3 weeks finishing everything. I mean, you were the lead actor and the director and the script writer. If you were given another choice, okay, tell us more about why did you end up? How did you end up? Because I know the story, the audience may not know. How did you end up as being both the actor and the director? I knew that this was not your ideal setup. Tell us more.
No, because I really wanted to just focus on directing, because I've already done acting. I've done it, so I wanted to focus on directing, but it was so hard to cast this Danny part, right? So we had auditions in LA, auditions in Taiwan, and then you need to find someone who knows both English and Mandarin well. And now on top of that, you need someone with no accent, speak English fluently, but with Mandarin, you need to have a little bit like Taiwanese accent. You can't have Beijing accent or
that wouldn't work.
Or an American accent. It wouldn't work, right? And then on top of so that already is hard. We didn't have anybody like that. And on top of that, you need someone we're the right age, and someone who knows how to play. We would have actors that come in and try to play gay characters, or very stereotypical gay characters. And I'm as soon as they did that, it's they're not right. So it's just all these things, all these obstacles. so we would have all the tapes and audition tapes, and we would show Shiri Gong, right, the producer, and he'd be like, God, this is crazy. Like nobody felt right. And then he's like, what do you think about playing the character? And I was like, oh my God, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. Like I don't know. It was terrifying. It was terrifying. So I mean, I didn't really have a choice. I didn't really have a choice.
But you did well. I loved. At least I can't speak for everybody. I loved your acting and
Thank
everything.
you.
That's amazing film. So I think now I've digged out enough, like secret about the filming aspect. Let's go talk about the plots a little bit. How do you? So the whole thing, is coming out and things like that. But really, what touches me in this film is the understanding of an alternative form of family, and then the surrogacy is part of it. How, I mean, if you did not hear this, the Google Baby movie, I mean, do you, if it's too personal a question, I mean, can you envision yourself having a surrogate child or bring it up?
Not really, to be honest. I think I'm more suited for being a gay uncle than a gay dad, to be honest. I mean, my brother has like 2 daughters, and they're the best nieces, and I'm going to be the best uncle they'll ever have. But I don't know if it's nice to play with kids, and then at the end of the day, give them back to the parents. So I don't know. To be honest, if I had not heard that story, Google Baby, I don't. I mean, I may have like come up with a story, but probably not in that form. But I bet that my first feature film, if it wasn't for baby stuff, a first feature film still would have been an LGBTQ themed film about relationship with my family. But maybe not in the form of surrogacy or babies, things like that.
I really liked this, before watching this film and having the honor to have this interview with you, and then I didn't know about this film, and then I went to ask my LGBT friends, the queer friends in the circle. Everybody know your film, and I was like, how is that possible that I'm the only person who have not seen it? And then this summer, because of COVID-19, I somehow have 2 gay couple friends, like male gay couple friends. They were both thinking about adoption and one is about adoption, the other couple is about surrogacy. And only belatedly I realized in America to have adoption, you have to at least cost you about $70,000 US, and surrogacy is 150,000. And that's a number that seems to be, I mean, for many, decent families, astronomical. And I think a lot of the things that you touched upon in your film is like, they all watched your film because they're like, this is my life, what I'm going through. So the representation. But in your process of making this film, has any idea about your initial ideas about family changed? I mean, it's also a learning process for you to learn about gay couples, adoption, all these laws, right, and legal.
Yeah, when I started writing this, so as soon as I have this idea, okay, so this is what the stories might be about, I started doing research. I went to a lot of conferences. I interviewed a lot of surrogates. I interviewed gay couples. There's an organization called Men Having Babies. I attended their annual conference, and I actually became very good friends with them, with the organizers, and they've actually invited me subsequently years after the film came out to be their speakers. And as a matter of fact, last year they had a conference, Men Having Babies, in Taipei, and this month, last weekend, they had another conference in Taipei. So I did a lot of research, and through the process, you're right, I did learn about myself, and I realized, maybe that's not something that I would be interested in pursuing, but I did learn a lot. But you know what, the surrogacy laws, and it's evolving all the time. When my first draft, they actually went to India, and the baby was born in India. But like a few months later, I went to the conference, Men Having Babies conference, and the laws changed. The regulations changed in India, and I think it became not legal for gay couples in India, something like that. And so I had to change the script immediately. And then I was like, okay, so maybe I can have the babies in Taipei or in LA. And then at one point, it became apparent that Thailand would be a good place. So I started writing the script, to change it in Thailand. And then when the movie came out in Thailand, the movie was released there. It was banned in Thailand too. So before the movie shown on the screen, they actually had the I don't know, like something like, oh, it's now currently illegal in Thailand, blah, 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 blah. So the laws change all the time. And I haven't been following up on what's happening now. The funny thing is, after the movie came out, everybody thought I was an expert. So I would get all these like calls and emails. Barney, can you tell me what to do? I'm like, I don't know what to do. Everything's fictional. They would assume that I was married, had a white boyfriend, a partner, had a baby. They would assume. So it's just very interesting. Like, but it's like it's farther from the truth. Like I'm single. I don't have a baby. I don't want to be a father. So yeah.
Yeah, so that means your film is great. It's blur the boundary of reality and fiction. But I know the very true part is actually about you and your relationship with your mother and this process. You talked about a lot in many interviews already. But in terms of, because the theme of this Taiwan Film Festival is lost and found, we have to we were briefed on this last meeting, right? So yeah, let me ask you a very scripted question. Let me read it. What's been lost and what's been found in terms of you and your mother's relationship after making this film?
So I told you guys last time, and I'll share with the audiences today, that my relationship with my mom, after I came out a really long time ago, right? And during college. So it's really a long time ago. And so my life kept evolving, and to the point of like, I'm proud to be gay. I'm out. I'm so comfortable being gay. But when I came out to my mom a long time ago, she never like progressed. She never made any kind of progress in terms of coming out. In fact, she became more and more she went into the closet more and more. So here we are growing farther and farther apart throughout the years. Grew so apart to the point that we can really have much to talk about. My mom would worry about my brother having girlfriends. She'd be like, why are you dating, this girl? She's horrible for you, blah, 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 blah. And then she would never ask me about, Barney, who are you dating? Never, right? So like my private life, sort of like I kept it to myself, and she never really cared to ask about that part of me. So I felt very alone. I felt very like not neglected, not loved. So that was that. But so there's a lot of things that I want to tell my mom. But like Asian families, right?
Hush, hush,
Chinese family, Taiwanese family. You don't really talk about things openly. You don't talk about intimate feelings. So all these things I wanted to tell to my mom, I couldn't really tell my mom. And I'm sure there were a lot of things she wanted to talk to me and tell me. She could really say those things. So there's a lot of like distance, silence between us for so many years. I was like 10, 15 years. So we felt very lost. Our relationship was definitely very lost. So what I couldn't tell her in person, in words, I wrote it in the script. I just wrote it in the script. So, and after I finished the script, I gave it to my mom. My mom read it. She understood my feeling, what I was coming from, how I felt. And so it was a way to slowly bring us closer together through this first a script. It wasn't a movie yet; it was just a script. And then the script needed to be translated into Chinese. They wrote it in English. My mom actually helped me translate some of the stuff, so she got more involved with the story. And then like through this translating process, we started talking more, right? So again, it was like this art project. This art is like slowly giving us the opportunity to talk about how we felt, and put it in the script, put it in the story. And when it came time to make the movie, I was just so touched because we shot in Taipei, and we would have like, I remember we had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning for shoots, early in the morning morning calls, 5 in the morning. And I remember my mom getting up at 3 in the morning to make me breakfast. So I was like, wow, like she really wanted to make sure that I was very well fed, that I was ready for the day. So I just felt like I was so touched by that, and I felt like she really loved me, even though she didn't really say "I love you," but through her actions, she really loved me. So again, we're getting much closer, right? This art purchase bringing much closer. But at this point, she was still not able to openly acknowledge to her friends and relatives about me being gay. So in 2015, when the movie was about to come out, right? Wow, it was like we were promoting the movie in Taipei. At one point, we were invited to this talk show, 小燕姐 talk show, right?
Yes.
And then, so I was like, oh my, wouldn't it be so cool? And so by then, Gui Ale was also in Taipei promoting. So initially, it was just going to be me and Gui Ale姐两个人, right? Two of us to promote the movie and talk about the movie. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could invite my mom to join us too? And then so I told her, Mom, would you like to join us? Yaleje and I were going to be on a talk show with Xiaoyan, and would you like to join us? And she's like, no, I don't want to do it. She was so scared. And then the next day, she's like, okay, Barney, I'll join you. So she decided to join us. So, she was struggling, right? She's still struggling. So she came on the show. We had a great show. She talked about I think she cried in the show too. She talked about what it was like having a gay son and her struggles and all that kind of stuff. And then so when the film came out, I mean, all her friends knew, like Barney's made this film. So she had to come out. She came out through the release of the film, and she invited all her friends to see the movie. She even baochang, right? She bought the entire theater, and she invited all her friends to see it. So through this film, she was able to be authentic, be open with her friends. So, and now she's out to her friends, and now all her friends are like, Barney, I have this wonderful guy I want to introduce you to. So, so it's great. So through this film, initially it was a script. Wasn't sure the film would be made, but it was a script, it brought us closer. But the film is made through this film, and the release of the film, it definitely brought us closer. And now we can talk about anything. So I think we found ourselves through this film.
That's amazing story. I watched the whole, I think it's almost about 15 minutes interview with your mom and Grace and Xiaoyan Jie. That your mom is amazing woman. She's got such a that kind of strength, and the way we can, I could tell that maybe we can ask the organizers or for the audience, if you go on YouTube, typing I think it's got to type in your Chinese name, right? Zheng Boyu, and then Xiaoyan.
I think yeah, if Barney or Man Yuezhou, and then Barney Cheng or something those keywords, right? And then it'll come up. Or maybe you can send a link on the chat, and
yes,
someone can send a link.
Yeah, may I trouble Fan Yun or whoever is our amazing organizers to share the link with audience, so everybody will be able to witness how amazing Barney's mom is actually. And where is she? I mean, she's in that interview. I was mentioned that she brought you guys up alone, right? And then she was very.
Yeah, she's a single mom. I lost my dad when I was at grade school, and then she basically brought us up alone. We immigrated to the U.S. when we were little kids, and she basically was a mother and father. She was a single mom. So yeah, very strong person. Just like Yaleje's character, right? She's very strong. She's very opinionated, very strong, very this is the way this is the way it is. So I mean, those crazy tiger mom scenes, they're dramatized, but they're real. I could see my mom do that. Yeah.
And for her, yet for her, because of love, she can make that change for you. Where this is how did you tell us more about your early years? Because you didn't get to talk about your early years in America. How was that with your mom and your brother, right? You have one brother or two brothers?
One brother, one sister. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us more about the early years of moving here and exchange. Yeah.
We grew up in Southern California. Yeah, growing up in the U.S., it wasn't easy. I mean, like I was bullied when I was a little kid, and high school, like junior high, high school years, it was all about like making sure to like have good grades. You wanted to get into good school, and on top of that, as teenage years, I was learning about myself as a gay guy, gay boy, because I was growing up, exploring sexualities. And back then there was no internet, right? So it felt very isolated. It felt like you're the only person in the entire world. I remember going to library and check out like books about gay subjects, and all. Like I was like so scared. And so yeah, it felt very isolating as an immigrant, as someone exploring his sexuality. So college was the time when I started blossoming, because
That's when you were in Stanford,
in
right?
Stanford, yeah.
Yeah. What were you studying at Stanford?
I was a political science major.
Poli-sci. And then
Yeah.
you also did law somehow. And then you become a screenwriter. Tell us more. What's the transition?
Well, I didn't really do law. I mean, I did political science. I spent a year at Oxford, and I read political philosophy. And I was thinking about going to law school. Didn't go to law school. Decided to give up everything and move to New York City to become an actor, to pursue my dream. So, yeah, no, I didn't do anything with law, because that's something. It's just I just felt like I need to pursue my dream, which is performing arts.
Performing arts. So you were always certain and sure that this is what you want to do.
Well, I mean, you were never sure. Even when you were an actor, you were never really 100% sure, because it's such a difficult career. Imagine, auditioning like for one character. There are like thousands of people like competing for that one character, one part. It's very competitive. So you're never sure. But I was always like, I loved it. I love acting. I love writing. I love making films. I loved it, but you were never sure, 100%. You always have doubts, you know.
For all those young people, who have you're an example of this exemplary example of someone pursuing your dream and rebelled against all these Asian American parents' expectations. So many Asian American parents, maybe they have the model citizen stereotype and want their children to somehow end up as a lawyer or a doctor. But you went after what you want and you did it your way. For all those young people who are still maybe in college, think about your nieces or your nephews. What are the advice that you want to tell them?
I mean, as I get older, I just feel like life is really short. This sounds weird to people that are young. They think they're, but as I get older, I just feel like life is really short. You really need to do things that you love. So my advice is, I mean, life is so much easier now in the entertainment industry because there's definitely more opportunities now. Still very hard, but there's definitely more opportunities. But on a on a practical advice, I really wouldn't encourage anybody who wants to like be an actor or writer to pursue this business. A lot of people want to be in the business for the wrong reason. They want to be famous. They want to make a lot of money. If those are the reasons why you want to be in the business, I don't think you should be in the business because it's really difficult. If you can't imagine yourself doing anything else, and you love what you do, then that's the right reason to be in the business. So yeah, I would discourage people from being in the business. Only for those people that love this craft, love writing, love performing, and are willing to be poor for to pursue your dream.
That's great advice. Willing to be poor, and you have to really passionate about that. And this time passes too quickly. It's already 9. We have until gosh, we have until 9:30, and I think we should open according to the timeline. Maybe we should see if there is any audience wants to ask questions, and we'll turn the opportunities to the attendees right there. I see there in the Q&A there is already one answer. I mean one question here. 妈妈出柜后怎么大家马上就接受? How come everybody accepted mother when the mother figure came out of the closets? I think like in the movie. I think, right? I think this referring to the movie. Yeah.
Well, I think. Well, first of all, most people probably know. Like it's just in personal life, in real life, like most people probably know that I'm gay. I think my mom was the only person in denial. So in the movie, a lot of her friends will probably have an idea. And you know what's very interesting? Like I didn't know that I didn't write it, so I didn't direct it that way. But some people thought that the 2 aunts were lesbians.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, like in the story.
Yeah.
But I didn't write it that way. But yeah, I think especially in Taiwan, I think people are pretty open-minded, because I think people have like gender and sexuality education in Taiwan. So I think most people are open-minded enough. At least most people have the idea that as long as it's not my kids, it's fine. As long as my kid is not gay, then I can accept other people's kids. At least people have that, for sure. Yeah,
that's something I hear very common as well, right? And once it's your children, then suddenly everything, it's very different.
Yeah.
And for others audience out there, if you want to pose the questions yourself, you can just type in mic time in the chat box, and I will ask the organizers to unmute you. But we'll continue, Barney. We'll continue. I have more questions to ask you. Actually, I have prepared some surprise for you.
Oh,
I think. Let's look at. Let's see if I can do screen sharing. Just a moment. I found some old photos. I'm a good stalker online. So
good research.
And are you ready?
Yeah.
So who's
oh my
this?
God. Look at me, I was so thin back then.
You were still thin.
I was so thin and young. 小鲜肉.
You're still 小鲜肉. You're always 小鲜肉.
Oh my God. Yeah, so that was 2002, 18 years ago.
18 years ago. Yeah. That was the first role that you got?
So this is the movie Hollywood Ending. I played so the premise of the movie was Woody Allen was a washed-up director. He was given a chance to direct a combat film. The night before filming started, he lost his sight. He became blind. So I was his assistant basically nobody knew about it. Nobody knew. I had to keep it a secret, right? So I had to basically, direct the movie, help him direct the movie. So it was kind of fun. It was the role was substantial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. It was a really good experience, and I learned a lot from working with Woody about how to direct actors. Yeah.
How did you get this role?
Oh, you have the audition.
Wow.
Audition, and then I think it was like 3 or 4 callbacks, and finally, after a month and a half auditioning and going back to the callbacks, finally got the role. So it was very lucky.
Good, good. I found more old photos. Let's go down the memory lane. And tell us about this if you still remember.
So this was when Hollywood Ending came out. And so our movie, Hollywood Ending, was the opening film of Cannes Film Festival. So I was invited with the cast to attend the festival, and basically we're there to promote the film. We opened the festival, basically. It was just crazy. It was a once in a lifetime experience to open the festival. People dreamed about going to the festival, and your film opened the festival. So
yeah, and that was your first Hollywood role, right?
Well, I had like small parts. Like I had a small part in
like this
different movies and Yeah. So, but that was my first, substantial roles. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking for these photos and your long acting career, and I realized there is a huge. This is another one, right? Brooklyn
Oh God!
Heist.
I hope nobody ever sees this film. It's really, really
Why? In what way you feel like your acting is not up to your standard, or it's just some other aspects?
To be honest, I never saw the film because I knew that I just knew that it wouldn't be good, so I didn't even see it.
Okay, let's skip this. But so we see from these photos Barney's transition, but from the actor to this director.
Yeah, so this is when we were filming in Taipei, Baby Steps in Taipei.
Baby steps, right? This is one of your moments you said you were switching between actor.
Correct. Yeah.
How many weeks in Taipei?
I think it was probably like a week and a half, 10 days, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I get. I think I have questions in the chat box. Okay. Oh, there is an audience asking, I wonder if there is any chance that we can watch those deleted clips about Tate's story.
Well, I don't. It's probably somewhere in a hard drive, but I would have to find it. and those scenes were not color corrected or edited, so it was just take 1, take 2, take 3, cut, start. It wasn't edited. I mean, it was edited, right? Because it was edited, right? But yeah, I have to find it.
And don't worry, in the future, one day those clips will be revealed to broad daylight, right? And then there's another question here. It's from Yixiang Kao. I'm curious that after so many conferences and interviews, what's your opinion towards surrogate mother unlawful in Taiwan? Do you think it's reasonable to make it legalized?
Yeah, I think it should be legalized because once it's legalized, then you can regulate it, right? If it's not legal, there's just a lot of abuses. Anything could happen. Just like so. Right now, it's not legal in Taiwan. So like most people have to come to the U.S. or go to different countries to do it. Yeah, so I think that there's something like surrogacy or egg donor. There's just a lot of potential abuses that could happen, and I sort of addressed it in the movie, right? Someone very rich can easily quote unquote force someone not rich, someone poor to become a surrogate and demand all these things and exploit them. in a situation that's not legal, right? But once it becomes a law and there's regulations, then you have to play by the rules. You can't do certain things because it's not ethical, it's not legal. So I firmly believe that surrogacy should be legal. Just so both sides are protected, and so there's not as much abuses. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question because I did not know that in Taiwan. Of course, in the film you said very clearly in Taiwan it's not legal. I think in Singapore it's not legal either. So a lot of Asian countries, well, yeah, although Taiwan now is the the most liberal in terms of gay marriage, perhaps the next step that we should strive for is to legalize the surrogacy law. And yeah,
Right.
we're
Well,
want to take the first step. Go on.
well, even in the U.S., is every state is different. Like, do you know that in New York City, New York State is not legal? New York State, the most liberal state, it's not legal. So each state is different too in the U.S. So
That's the family, the amount of effort that for a gay couple to want a normal family, that's I think for a lot of heterosexual families are unimaginable simply as that. And also about the pressure that sometimes if it's illegal that the subaltern or the like Mickey, the housekeeper, she might be facing. Tell us more about the deleted, the sort of her part of the struggle, because in the film I felt if there is one moment I felt it's a little bit abrupt, the change of her mind, and now I know it's because you have to cut out so many things. But feed us more back on the stories. What was
the story was about her daughters in Bali.
I think it's Daisy and some other, right? That too. I'm sorry.
I forgot their names. But
Daisy and Lily, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so it's about their stories and what's happening to them, and also like her housekeeper friends in Taipei and their kids. So and I sort of alluded to that a little bit in the scene at the Taipei train station. By the way, that train station on weekend is full of people, hundreds of thousands of people, right? But because we were filming on a Thursday or a weekday, what day it wasn't full. But usually when they get together, it's like the entire place is full of people. So yeah, so the stories revolved around their friends, Mickey's friends, and also Mickey's daughter. But I thought, like we could go into depth, but it's sort of implied. It's sort of like you have a sense of that. So so we cut all that.
Yeah, the thing is because the plot is so dense and so well written that sometimes the film doesn't afford the time for you to explore everything. But on that subject, I know now you work on episodic television. How do you call that? What's the correct term for
Episodic television, yeah.
Episodic television. Tell us about the project that you're working on at this moment. What are the stories you're writing?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, I belong to a community garden here in Hollywood. And first of all, it's such a blessing to have this opportunity, this space for me to explore and have fun during this COVID pandemic, right? Otherwise, I'll be like staying at home all day. But thank God for this community garden. I go and try to garden almost every day or every other day. But anyway, so this garden, there's so many different kinds of people. It's like a microcosm of the real world. We have a lot of Russians. We have a lot of recent Russian immigrants, and also like Russian Americans, like really, this is very like young. We have like Asian people, recent immigrants, and like more Americanized, and then we have like just a lot of different people, and so I was like, you know what, I could see this as the setting for an episodic television. And recently, I don't know if I should like mention this. Well, I don't think anybody from my community garden is going to be watching this, right? So I can. there is one member of our community, a community member was accused of sexually harassing another member. Anyway, so there's a lot of drama, and
Conflict.
it's a lot of drama and conflict, and they really brought. So on the one hand, we're all brought together to garden, have this common interest to garden, and then another, like, with this scandal, with this conflict, you really see the real people. Like, people started forming sides and forming alliances and started cutting. It's just like, I was like so shocked to see the politics played out in the community garden. And it represents, like, and I could see that, and can you imagine, like, on top of that, we have a pandemic outside the garden. So I just thought this is a very compelling story. So I'm developing an episodic television with that. And I pitched it to a couple studios, and they're interested. I just need to, like, really, like, write it out. Yeah, develop and write out the premise and everything to develop it fully, so I can officially present it.
Are you, for your mental health and also your I thought gardening is a healing place, and now all of this happening. You love it? You enjoying it?
Yeah, you know, I love it because, like, I just meet so many different people, and yesterday I met my neighbor, and we're talking about, like, this white guy, he married a Japanese woman, and the Japanese woman loves bitter melon. Like, I love bitter melon, kugwa, right? I grow a lot of kugwa, so, like, so I gave them a lot of my bitter melon, and they gave me a lot of their guava. It's just like, it's just so great to be in a community, and we all love gardening, and we're sharing notes, and we share all the lessons. I fail a lot on my attempt to. I couldn't grow, like, tomatoes. I couldn't grow, like, what else couldn't I grow? Peppers. I couldn't grow too well. So, like, we would share all these, like, you know, like,
tips, right?
Tips, and, you know, on how to grow. I just loved it, and you know, and of course the conversation would start evolve to something else about life and about stuff. So it's great.
And so you're developing.
We also have a lot of gay people in the garden too. So this is like a mixture of, like, so many different people. Yeah,
it's exactly what you said. It's like a microcosmos or something like that.
Yeah.
The next episodic show that you're going to have is going to slightly shift away from the LGBTQ theme to something else already, right?
Well, I mean, like, anything I do, it'll have some kind of LGBTQ angle to it, or a flavor to it. So in addition to writing and developing episodic television, I'm also directing episodic television, not my own shows, but other people's writing. So so I've been talking to a lot of producers about directing their different episodes, different shows. So yeah, and a lot of shows, like some shows like Love Victor, that's something that I could be directing. Shows like This Is Us, you know, there's some LGBTQ flavor to it, theme to it, you know, characters to it. So yeah, things like that. Whether it be directing or writing, there's always going to be a little bit of LGBTQ. If not main character, then supporting characters for sure.
That's great. We need to see more
themes too. You know, it doesn't have to be explicitly LGBTQ, but themes of, like, being alienated, themes of being the other people, themes of being, you know, invisible, or themes of discrimination. You know, not explicitly LGBTQ, but implicitly LGBTQ.
Just on that 3 points, I'm really intrigued about being alienated, being invisible, and being excluded. Maybe, do you feel that this care or this concern that you have, a very humanistic concern on this small minority groups or people, whoever is being excluded, has some, you know, bearings on your growing up here, or as a person, or maybe in Taiwan, or maybe here in the States?
Well, definitely. I feel like a lot of time when you were growing up, you feel like, oh, being gay, is the worst thing that could happen to you. But I now I see that as the best thing that could ever happen to me as a gay person, because it make me more vulnerable, make me more sensitive as a person, make me more empathetic, that I have an empathy, make me be able to see things that probably most people won't be able to see, and make me be able to analyze things from a different angle. So I think being born gay is the best blessing I could possibly have as a human being. As a matter of fact, as a gay Asian person, that's like the best. That's the best. I'm able to see things from different angles that other people may not be able to see. And that just makes your writing and your work, your directing, your acting more complex, more depth, more just has more layers, and not just flat. You know what I mean?
More layers. What's that Asian identity with the gay identity makes you like the best combination, it seems. Tell us more about that.
Well, I met with like a lot of producers, executives, TV executives, and they're like, you know what, you're like unicorn. We love it because you're Asian American and you're LGBTQ. We want people like you to direct our shows, to be involved in our shows, because there's a reckoning right now in Hollywood. They want to hire more people of color, people LGBTQ for sure. So it's actually great to be Asian American, and LGBTQ. It's like really interesting. My agent was saying that she was having trouble getting appointments for her white male clients. It was easier to get appointments for me, someone who's Asian American, LGBTQ, than a white male client, someone who has more experience. It was harder to get appointments for them. So it's definitely, I love it. I love it.
This is great because we see the Hollywood is also changing, right, over the years. Tell us more about that. Imagine you, little small Barney Cheng, auditioning for Woody Allen, comparing to this, successful director and being given more. Tell us more about Hollywood's changing attitude towards Asian community, towards LGBTQ community.
It's definitely getting better because I feel like many of us, Asian Americans, people of color, LGBTQ, we are definitely more visible, and more visibility brings more, make people more empowered. If you're more empowered, you speak up. If you see things that you don't like, you think is really unjust, you speak up. We're more empowered to do that. We have more allies. We have more straight allies. We have more allies for different communities. So it's definitely getting better. I don't think it's to the point that it's just, fair and equitable, but it's moving there. And I hope on Tuesday, America will vote for a president that's going to embrace more equality, more democracy, and more freedom, and more honesty, and less lies and discrimination. We have to get better. And
exactly.
I feel like we will get better regardless, but it's just I just hope on Tuesday we have good results. So
we will. That more. America she's continued to stand for this image of diversity and things like that, and we're all holding fingers crossed. And so about this ally, you said about LGBTQ ally thing. Ally in this case means like you're straight friends but LGBT friendly, and I also know that the other leading actor in Baby Steps, Michael, is your ally, right? Tell us, how did you end up casting Michael, and how was the collaboration process with him?
I actually didn't know Michael. So for the boyfriend character, we had like thousands of submissions. Actors submit thousands of submissions, and the casting director probably read like audition, like I don't know, 50 people, and then the casting director only like brought back 5 callbacks. He was one of the actors, and he was clearly the best. So and he's the right age, right looks, perfect. yeah. Yeah, so he got the part through audition, and we had a lot of chemistry. So the callbacks I actually read with them, so there's chemistry between us. So it was the right choice.
That's great.
We taped auditions here, and we sent it to Taipei. Producer Xu Ligong also watched all the auditions, the 5 callbacks, right? So he chose Michael as well. So we both chose Michael. So it was just, it was pretty unanimous.
It's a good decision as well. And Michael, I think, was an amazing actor in this film. And also somehow you told us last time that Michael's wife is somehow involved in this as well.
Yeah. So it was this is a funny story. So Michael's wife played one of his surrogates in LA. The surrogate that the mother had a conference with, and actually eventually stalked her home. So the night before we were going to shoot that scene, gosh, I remember this vividly. It was 6 or 7 o'clock at night. We got a call from producer says, "Oh my God, the actress, we lost the actress for tomorrow because she got something else and she couldn't do it." So, and our call the next morning was 5 o'clock in the morning. So we were like, "Oh my God, what are we gonna do?" But I knew Michael's wife was an actress, and that I think she wanted to read for the parts as well, but I forgot what happened, but we ended up emailing her the sites, and then she memorized the scenes, and then she worked on the scenes, and the next morning she came and we did it. It was like, oh my God, we lost the actress, and thank God we were able to get her. And we actually lost a couple actors as well. Throughout, it happens all the time. It's pretty common. We had to fire some people too. There was someone who was homophobic. We ended up, firing that person.
Wow, the homophobic person in the crew. I mean,
no, as an actor.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, so we had to fire that, and there's also another actor who just couldn't get his lines right, so we had to fire him on set and have someone immediately come and take over.
How that was, I can't imagine. It's like you have to deal with all of this while acting.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Would you do it again? I mean, if the same opportunity were given to you?
I don't think I would act and direct simultaneously again. I still act a lot in other people's projects. Recently, I played 2 fathers with kids, and then so I like to act in other people's projects. Then I don't have to worry about directing and just focus on acting. And I want to direct and not act too. So directing, just focus on directing. Yeah,
Okay.
but not together again. No.
Together again. Okay. You'd be traumatized by the experience, but I mean, at the end, the result is amazing. So that's kudos to you. Let's see if we have more questions. I would be very encouraged, the audience attendees right there. If you want to dig out more information from Barney.
And they can ask in Chinese too, because I speak Chinese.
Exactly. Barney can also reply in Chinese. Let's see. Or maybe we should converse in Mandarin a little bit for the last 5 minutes, right? 就讲华语，我都不知道这个每个国家的说法都不一样。在台湾是这个国语，然后新加坡是华语，然后中国是中文，然后这个
我也讲中文啊，中文也是我会讲国语、中文两个都 interchangeable， yeah。
好，那我们谈一下这个语言，因为您是这个 bilingual 双语的，然后呢，你觉得在这个这个整个作为演员和作为导演来讲，你的这个 education 和你的 upbringing 啊，这个双语的能力给你 带来了很多的方便呢，还是挑战？
方便太多了，因为我在岛的时候嘛，因为我一半的那个crew 剧组是一半是外国人不会讲听不懂中文的，一半是台湾人他们听不懂英文的，所以每次要解释跟那个 crew 还有阿姐解释，雅蕾姐也听不懂英文，你知道吗？所以说
我不晓得这个
很多时候就要解释。讲完英文还要解释中文，这样子就 back and forth，就有时候真的是会崩溃这样子。不过真的是如果不知道的话，就很难了这样子啊。不过就是
那当时没有考虑要请一个翻译吗？
我们有翻译在 on set for sure。可是想说比较快，我讲比较就直接讲这样子。我们当然也有翻译，像很多时候 Michael 就有翻译啊，因为我不可能一直跟在旁边替他翻译很多东西，不可能，我太多事情要做了，所以说他有他的翻译这样子。
那在您成长的这个过程里面，刚来美国的时候，语言方面有没有遇到问题？
那是很小，刚开始小学的时候嘛，所以学习语言是比较快一点。而且那时候那时候我住在的区里面华人很少，所以说我就是强迫一定要讲英文这样子。所以说还好，我觉得还好。
对，那妈妈呢？妈妈有没有适应的过程？
妈妈英文还好啦，就是基本的浅的会讲，可是比较深的就不因，而且我们大学的时候他就搬回台湾了，所以他现在更退步了。英文更退步了。他有住在美国一阵子，那时候他英文就是当然是比较好，现在已经回台湾那么久了，就退步了。
那现在哥哥跟妹妹对不对？还是姐姐？
弟弟跟妹妹，
弟弟跟妹妹都在美国了，还是？
我弟弟住在台北他搬回台北，大学过以后搬回台北。那我妹妹住在这边，住在加州这里。
那你们两个是有福气的，这个照顾妈妈的事情就变得弟弟身上。
没有，我每年都会回台湾，就是妈妈生日的时候，我们都会回去，这样全家会聚在一起。
对，那春节呢会回去吗？
春节比较难，因为春节有时候在1月的时候、2月的时候就是比较难这样子。我们都是年底，差不多12月、11月底、12月初的时候。Thanksgiving 过了以后，好莱坞其实 stops，everything stops after Thanksgiving。So 从 Thanksgiving 直到1月1号，这个时候等于是放假，所以我就从那时候回台湾。
哦，那好，其实是 Christmas 可以在台北过的，对不对
？Yeah，当然。
对。这个也今年希望这个疫情能够尽早的结束，也希望这些mayhem politically 的东西能够赶快的这个尘埃落定。然后呢，今年 Thanksgiving is coming， 然后 Christmas is coming， 大家都不管是 LGBT 还是不是 LGBT， 都要好好的回家里去跟家人团聚，这是非常重要的，对吧？那好 ，I think this is great. We've covered a lot. So Fan Yun, please come on board. And yes, I will pass the mic and podium to Fan Yun. And thank you so much, Barney. And this
thank
is
you,
amazing.
Jannis. You're so great. You're such a good facilitator or moderator. You should do this more often.
Now I find a job. Now next time you'll hire me. Okay, I will keep in touch. But Fan Yun, I'll pass the mic to you now.
All right, so hello. Can you see my screen now? Yeah, awesome. So here is Fan Yun again. Thank you for Jannis and Director Barney Cheng. Awesome communication conversations, and I did enjoy a lot from your conversations, which actually gave me more insights on baby steps and allowed us to kind of rethinking the film from different angles. And of course, I love the old photos part. So for the audience, we've got some actually an assignment homework for you. Just kidding. Please either enter the website link or scan the QR code here to access our survey. Your feedback is extremely important for us to improve our future events. And just a quick reminder, we are going to hold Thanksgiving special event from November 23rd to November 29th. We're going to film 3 short documentaries. 300万分之一, 1/3 million. 游移之声 moving in between. 游移之声 is actually a documentary talking about transgenders life. A transgender Taiwanese who I think she's now living in Japan. It's a very interesting story. And 翻越之后 after crossing, which is in collaboration with 新北市政府 New Taipei City government. So please stay tuned with us for more information by following our website, our Facebook fan page, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube channel, as you can see here. And one more thing I want to share with you is that masking and face covering can actually protect yourself in the pandemic. And Taiwan Film Festival Boston is not only providing you good movies, and but also good protection as well. So you can find and purchase our featured product TFB mask on our website with 3 colors you can see here: red, blue, and black. Finally, thank you again for joining us today. Please don't forget to leave your feedback, and I hope all of you have a wonderful week. I will see you next time, and happy holiday season. Bye-bye. Thank you.